Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for holding this important hearing, and for our witnesses for participating here today. My home state of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is a home to vast energy resources and to strong generation assets. And because of this, we often see large-scale transmission projects proposed to move that electricity either elsewhere within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania or to address the demand of adjacent neighbors. At the federal level, I have worked on legislation that would ease bureaucratic red tape to help with the timely permitting and completion of all types of critical energy infrastructure projects. We've all seen energy demands rise. My top priority remains that these projects and those who regulate them are responsive to the needs and the concerns of those who will ultimately live with the effects and with the costs of this new infrastructure. Mr. Christie, thank you for being here. With your personal experience, both at FERC and at state public utility commissions, can you provide any additional examples of how, as a state regulator, you were able to respond to local concerns with a precision that would be impossible from a federal position?
Well, you do that all the time because when you're doing an IRP proceeding, when you're looking at your major utilities, our major utility in Virginia is Dominion, that's our largest utility. So you do an IRP proceeding, you're looking at what are their generating resources that they have coming down the line, and what are the distribution costs that they have. You look at the whole thing, and you look at what the transmission costs. So you can look at, on a real-time basis, what is going to be needed to serve the millions of people who are in Dominion's territory. And FERC just doesn't do that. FERC doesn't do integrated resource planning. First of all, it's not its fault. It doesn't have the authority under the Federal Power Act to do integrated resource planning. States do. And that's where the rubber hits the road, so to speak, about making sure that the utilities that serve consumers are on top of their game and are actually getting the resources they need, generation, transmission, distribution, because it's all an integrated whole. It's all part of the same utility system.
You talked about when the rubber hits the road, and I like that analogy because it's so important, because at the state and then subsequently at the local levels, that is so important. Do you feel that you are empowered at the state level to make sure that the consumer, that my constituent, knows that that rubber hitting the road, that there is an advocate for them?
I think, frankly, if states that went into an RTO, if they unbundled their transmission, one of the problems is you gave up control of your transmission costs to FERC. And I think that was a mistake. I think states were better off if they had kept the transmission costs under state regulation, because that's a huge part of the bill. Congresswoman Fedorchak put the chart up showing how much transmission had gone up. Well, that's been under FERC control. So I think it'd be better off under state regulation, because look, state regulators are the ones who have to do the retail rates that people pay in their bills. The state regulators are the ones who are the most sensitive to what actual costs are, far more than FERC.
Mr. Clark, do you have any additional examples of the sorts of details and precise changes that can be made by state regulators to benefit the local landowners and the local consumers?
Congressman, yes, thank you for the question. I had mentioned it just briefly in my opening statement, but having sat through these transmission hearings and citing transmission, electric transmission is very different than a pipeline. With a pipeline, and I've cited a lot of both, a pipeline, it's 36 or 48 inches underground. It's sort of out of sight, out of mind once it's sited. A transmission line is very different. It impacts the land in a very different way. So what state regulators are able to do, and local officials who work on these permits, is ensure that when a project is built, it's done in such a way that the landowner can accept it, that it's put in a place on, say, farming operations where it makes the most sense for that farmer's land use. It's things like that that can be teased out in a forum that state commissions excel at doing, that I worry would fall in the gaps if that.
Do you feel that landowners and their concerns often do fall in those aforementioned gaps that you talk about?
I think moving those decisions to Washington, D.C. would almost certainly ensure that there would be more of those gaps. I think their ability to access their local commission is much greater than it is if it gets bounced to a federal siting process.
I think I agree with you that local input is paramount, that local control and responsiveness to the local landowner must be heard and must be acted on. We all share the same desire to see affordable and reliable energy available to support the local consumers and local industries. As we build out the necessary infrastructure, state regulators must hold protecting local consumers and local landowners as their #1 priority. I again thank you for testifying here today, Mr. Chairman.